It's that time of the year, guys. Today I will be sharing my rejection story that eventually got me accepted to CMU. Okay, so I'm going to read off from my iPad here, so I'm going to be looking down, just letting you guys know. And also the topic that I have chose is the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? So this is my comment app essay. Do you know why you're here? With a loud thud, the woman slammed a thick folder onto the table. The room fell silent as she unveiled the news. Their poor colleague, Sunday, had landed in the ICU because someone had overloaded all their work on him last minute. One of the 6 days was the perpetrator. This 10-minute comedy skit titled Who Killed Sunday was hands down the highlight of my summer binge watching. As school started, my friends and I found ourselves grumbling about the never-ending work, mostly due on Fridays. We couldn't help but wish we could get rid of Fridays altogether. It started as a silly jab at the cumbersome weekday, but soon morphed into a quirky fixation. Drawing inspiration from Who Killed Sunday, I spun my own take, weaving the struggles of each day into yarns relatable to teenagers. Amidst plot twists, the play itself became a psychological experiment where the audience and cast were observers playing detective alongside the character deadline. Despite my inexperience in scriptwriting, I saw potential for this concept to blossom into a full-fledged production. Bolstered by a sense of promise, I approached the school's art teacher, confident that our long-standing connection through the Arts Council would ignite her support for the idea. Spoilers alert, she extinguished it. Apparently, there was neither enough time nor funding to produce a play of this scale. Disbelief and devastation overwhelmed me. Long nights of dedication crumbled before my eyes, leaving me in distress and anxiety. Maybe I can somehow persuade her? Or I can ask my friends for guidance? Numerous questions of the like were ruminated on, but each one was met with silence, leaving desolation in its wake. The impulse to surrender seemed so tempting that I decided to give up. But not until I made one final attempt. Leveraging the connections I built through volunteering, I decided to contact all the organizations I have worked with. As the weeks passed, my enthusiasm for the play waned. But just when I was on the verge, an email arrived. Much to my surprise, Bob from the Center for Immigrants and Community Services had replied. After reviewing my script, Bob offered his unwavering support, providing not just funding, but also a place for auditions and rehearsals. It felt surreal. Near the end of the meeting, Bob asked why I was so determined to bring this play to life. Flabbergasted, I fumbled for the right words, only to find myself utterly speechless. With a smile, he suggested that the day I have an answer would mark the script's true perfection. Initially, I grappled with the true significance of his words. I delved into the casting auditions, exhaustive research, marketing, and ongoing rehearsals. It was during this journey that I encountered individuals who shared my vision of delivering an extraordinary performance. Our meetings were never brief. We would lose ourselves in long animated discussions, deconstructing countless possibilities of each scene delivery. With each ounce of passion, we meticulously choreographed acts in each scene that reflect daily lives of students in and out of school. These discussions led to a deeper understanding of each cast member's perspective and tone towards mental health and work ethics. And because of these interactions, I found the answer to I wanted to pass on the story of millions on their struggles with procrastination, that it is perfectly fine to experience uncertainty and guilt. With the knowledge to navigate difficult emotions with maturity, I hope that my 1-hour play can guide those who feel lost and aid in their self-discovery, just like how I did when crafting the scenes. This project helped me embark on my own journey of understanding within myself and my community. By I will also address the woman's initial inquiry with confidence. Yes, I know why I'm here. So that's the end of my comment app essay. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Okay, so as promised, I will be sharing you all my comment app essay drafts that I have discarded myself due to a lot of reasons and how it led to my final version of what I had just shared with you. So I remember that my first comment app draft, and I'm actually going to pull it out right now. I think it was this one. So this one I have decided to write kind of like a love triangle story. I want it to be quote unquote unique. So what I have decided is to personify both arts and business as two different characters, and they're kind of the two male leads, and how I am kind of torn between which one should I choose, kind of like that. So if you're interested in reading, this is just reading this, oh gosh, kind of gives me some, I'm kind of cringing at it right now, but I'll show it to you so you guys could pause and read it if you would like. But the reason why I did not choose this as my final Common App essay, first of all, well, I think a few months ago at least, I thought it was a really creative idea. And to be honest, till this day, I still think it's a very unique way to start your Common App essay. But the only issue I had with this was it's too generic, because in a sense, I was mostly telling my admission officers, oh, I have two passions, arts and business. And that is not true, because if you watched my previous video of all my extracurriculars, my activities, I am very interested in a lot of stuff. It's not just arts and business. But anyways, I kind of restricted myself within that. And also I did not give myself the opportunity to tell my admission officers how I deal with challenges, for example, or my values, my beliefs, or just my personality. It was mostly just, oh no, there's two things and I have to choose one, if that makes sense with you guys. So that's the reason why I decided to, discard this version of the Common App essay, because it was kind of, it wasn't the best. So then I decided to move on to my version 2 of my Common App essay. And that was, let me just check, for example, let me just pull it up. No, not this one. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, I can't find it right now, but anyways, the second version of this was I recently got invested, or I was addicted to Catan. I'm not sure if you know the board game Catan, but I'll post a picture of this. It is so fun. In my opinion, it's like the better version of Monopoly. But anyways, I wanted to use the rules or the guidelines of Catan to tell a story, and I thought it was like genius. Like, oh, every accomplish that I have listed or I have done, that'll be 1 victory point. If you don't know what victory points is, just ignore it. It's just a point system that Catan has, and if you reach 10, then you basically win the game. And that was what I thought, and I thought it was a really good idea. But then after 2 weeks of just letting it sit, and I realized that it was like the way I have displayed my essay was interesting. It was creative. However, it did not show the admission officers who I am, because essentially the entire essay was just my resume. Because as you know, every single point that I got, victory point that I got, it was an accomplishment. I wanted to show that, oh, I'm very, I have perseverance, I have determination, I have the grind, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get into a certain level or whatever. I want to show that side of myself. But then after writing it or testing it out, it kind of just became like a list of, oh, I did XYZ, and in return, in achievements, I want A, B, and C. And that was not what I wanted, because there's a reason why they give you the activity section. That is where you're supposed to brag, you're supposed to flex all of your achievements, not on your essays. Your essays should show your personality and who you are to the admission officers. So that was the reason why I discarded this version as well. Now the last version is actually the same story that I have showed you today, my final Common App. However, the structure or how I wrote it was very, very different. So let me see where, nope, not this one. Yeah, I have too many drafts, so I'm just trying to see which one it is. The one. Okay, yeah. So I decided to write like a short fiction, like a short YA novel. So it's very similar to the first draft, like the love triangle one, except the story is replaced with my rejection story, like my theater rejection story. So I can show you here. Yeah, you can pause if you want to read it. But essentially, this is, yeah. So the reason why I rejected this version as well is, first of all, I think it went over the word limit, so I couldn't use it in the first place. But also how I structured it, it was very confusing, because the story that I wanted to tell, or like to write about, the theater rejection story, it's a very long story, to be honest. It's super long, and I think just telling you guys verbally, it probably would take around 10 minutes to get the entire story done. So for this version, I had to skip a lot of details, and it was very confusing, because it was, oh, the past, then the present, then the past back, and then the future. And if you don't really know the story that well, or you don't know who I am as a person, so like for example, the admission officers, when they read this, it's probably really confusing for them, like, girl, what are you trying to say here? So that was the reason why I, didn't use this version, although I kind of did like it, but it was just too unorganized, and it wasn't straight to the point. So yeah, so that's the reason why I decided to reject that version as well. And despite only having 3 versions, I'm pretty sure there are other applicants who wrote, I don't know, like 10 or 20 drafts. Well, each version that I've just showed you, each version I wrote at least 5 to 7 drafts, so I wrote a lot. So one of the tips is probably start as soon as possible. But moving on to the next part, I'm going to be telling you why I decided to use this version, like the final version, and why I think I got into CMU because of this essay. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, last part of this video. So you must be wondering why I have decided to choose my final version of the Common App essay as my final version. What did I do that I think was the reason why I got into CMU? So let me just look at my notes for a second. Okay, so this is the first tip I want to share with you guys. As you know, I applied to CMU for computational finance with a minor in CS. So as you can tell, it's business and tech, STEM related stuff. And my Common App essay is arts. It has nothing to do with business and it has nothing to do with STEM. So why the hell did I decide to use theater as, or my rejection story as my Common App? So this is why I said this is my first tip. Your Common App essay does not need to be correlated to your major, okay? Make sure you get that, because of course you are more than welcome to talk about your passions, and if your passion aligns with your major, then of course all the best, but you don't have to. As you can see in my example, in my case, I did not talk about business, I did not talk about computer science in my Common App essay. It's all related to arts, okay? So I just wanted to let you guys know this, that you are not restricted. You can talk about whatever you want as long as it shows the admission officers who you are. Okay, so let's move on to why this story. So why did I choose this story? First of all, I want to show the admission officers a different side of me. So as you know, my extracurriculars, my achievements, yada, 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 they are more business catered. And of course, I wanted to tell my admission officers, oh, I'm super passionate about business. I love to read about, for example, investing. I want to learn about human psychology and marketing. These are stuff I am very genuinely passionate about. However, I don't want to tell my admission officers I'm just a business nerd. Like, I only talk about stocks every single day, Like, that is not just... That's a part of my personality, but it's not my entire personality. So I want to show a different side of me, for example, the art side, the creative side, rather than just, business, business, business. So that was one of the reasons why. And also, I want to show who I was, or who I am as a person, to the admission officers. And I think I touched it like a little bit on this on the previous section, but I want to show my character, my beliefs, my values, how I deal with challenges when they arise, right? That was the reason why I decided to use my theater rejection story. As you can see, in comparison to my previous drafts of the love triangle, between of who I need to decide, I cannot talk, I'm so sorry, that I need to choose between arts and STEM. Right? Well, during that entire storyline, I did not really talk about how I deal with challenges or my personality. Am I able to, endure the grind? Do I have perseverance? And what are my beliefs? Like, what do I believe in? And what are my values when it comes to something like this, right? So that was the reason why I decided to use my theoretic story. How do I deal with rejections? Also, a huge part of this is you want your essay to be unique for sure, but you also need an element in your essay to be relatable. So in my sense, my uniqueness in this essay is that I doubt that anyone wrote a whole theater play and proposed it to one of the organizations to get it produced. That is my uniqueness. I did it because I was passionate about it, and also I know a lot of people don't do theater, or they do theater, but they don't write a whole play and they don't produce it and become the director themselves, right? So that's my uniqueness. But the other part that is quote unquote relatable, so that you can relate, or the admission officers could relate to you, is how to deal with rejections. Because everyone does not like to, or no one likes the feeling of getting rejected. I'm pretty sure of that. Everyone wants success. They want to, be smooth sailing. But rejection is inevitable, right? So my entire theme of this essay is talking about how I cope with rejections, how I deal with my rejections, how do I learn from my rejections, and how I persevere, and how I, push through this challenge. And these qualities are the characteristics or the stuff that the admission officers are looking for. They're not just only looking for someone who's, passionate about something or super, super good at something. Like, that is an aspect, but you need to also show about the inner stuff, about who you are. Like, if, something happened to you, like during university, are you able to stand your ground, stand for what you believe in, and do whatever the hell you want, right? That is something that the admission officers want to look for. And a bonus tip is make sure you Google your university, because every time when you Google something like, for example, CMU, characteristics or whatever, like characteristics that they are looking for, and they will have it listed on their websites. And make sure that you mention it, or in some way incorporate it into your essay. So yeah, hopefully this video has helped you, and I know I probably rambled a little bit, but hopefully you learned something, and yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.